Malkia Msuya kept an inhaler in her jacket pocket for 3 years and never once needed it. Until the night she gave it to a dying man who had never spoken a single word to her. That was the night everything changed. Before we dive into this story, if you love stories about underdogs who refuse to stay invisible, stories that make you feel something real, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a love story. It's about a girl who spent 15 years being a ghost in someone else's home, and the moment she decided to stop disappearing. Trust me, you don't want to miss where this goes. Now let's get into it. She was 24 years old and had lived in the Shin estate since she was 9. 15 years of being a shadow in hallways that cost more than most people made in a lifetime. 15 years of existing in that weird space between staff and air. Her mother, Sibyl, ran the household. Malkia was just the kid who came with the package. The Shin family didn't just have money. They had the kind of power that made people shut up mid-sentence. On paper, they owned a private equity firm. Off paper, they owned secrets. The kind that could end careers, destroy families, make people vanish from headlines overnight. Malkia knew, because she'd spent 15 years being furniture with working eyes and ears. It was a Tuesday in October, almost midnight. She was carrying a tray down the east corridor, ginger tea and medication for her mother, who'd been coughing so hard lately that Malkia woke up 3 times a night just to make sure she was still breathing. The house was quiet. Staff were in their quarters. The family was either out or locked away in their private wings, doing whatever rich people did when nobody was watching. Then she heard it. Someone drowning on dry land. She turned the corner and her stomach dropped. Shin Jae-won, the eldest son, the one who ran the money side of everything, was on the floor, back against the wall, tie hanging loose, face the color of old paper, gasping like his lungs had forgotten how to work. Malkia didn't freeze. She dropped the tray and fell to her knees beside him. "Your inhaler, where is it?" He couldn't answer. His hand went to his jacket pocket. Nothing there. His eyes were starting to look wrong. She yanked hers out. The one she'd carried since a nasty infection 3 years back left her paranoid about breathing. She shook it, pressed it to his lips. "Breathe," she said. Not soft. Firm. He did. She counted to 10 in her head, pressed again. Slowly, slowly, his breathing started to even out. Color came back in patches. She waited until his eyes focused, until she was sure he wasn't about to die in front of her. When he looked at her, really looked at her, she knew he was trying to figure out who she was. 15 years under the same roof, and she was a stranger to him. She stood up, grabbed the tray, and walked away. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't write it down. Didn't wait for thanks. Because you didn't make yourself a story in houses like this. Stories got you noticed. Noticed got you removed. But someone was already turning her into a story. Morning came at 6, like it always did. Malkia helped her mother set up the breakfast service, even though technically she wasn't staff. It was just easier than sitting still in a house that didn't have a box for her. Sibyl was coughing again, the wet kind that sounded like something breaking inside. "You're seeing a doctor," Malkia said in Amharic. "I'm fine," Sibyl answered back in Amharic, then switched to Korean. "Stop worrying. You coughed up blood yesterday." Sibyl's hand froze on the rice bowl. "You saw?" "I see everything, Mama. That's the job of invisible people." Her mother touched her face. "Next week. I promise. You said that last week." "Next week means next week." Malkia knew when to stop pushing. You didn't win arguments with Sebla Msuya. You just worked around her stubbornness and hoped for the best. At 7:30, the family started drifting down for breakfast. Malkia stayed in the kitchen. She'd learned young that being in the dining room when they ate confused people. Was she family? Was she help? The answer was neither, so it was better to just not be seen. But that morning was different. Park, head of security, walked into the kitchen. He never walked into the kitchen. Ever. Miss Malkia. She looked up from her book, Korean philosophy, borrowed from the library upstairs without asking, because nobody ever noticed. Yes? Mr. Shin wants to see you. Every single person in the kitchen stopped moving. Malkia closed her book. Which Mr. Shin? Jae-won. You could have heard a pin drop. She stood up, kept her face blank, but her chest felt tight. Lead the way. Jae-won's office was on the 3rd floor. Malkia had been inside exactly once, years ago, delivering something for her mother. He hadn't looked up from his computer. Now Park opened the door and stepped aside. She walked in. Jae-won was standing by the window, back to her. Didn't turn around when the door closed. Sit, he said. I'm fine, standing. He turned, looked at her. Really looked this time. He was 32. Tall, sharp jaw, the kind of face that gave away absolutely nothing. Dark suit, no tie today. Eyes that probably saw too much. Last night, he said. That was you? Yes. Why'd you do it? You were dying. Seemed like a bad way to end a Tuesday. His eyebrow moved. Barely. People don't carry inhalers they don't need. I had an infection 3 years ago, bad enough to scare me. I kept it just in case. And you gave me your only one. You needed it more. He stared at her like she was a puzzle with missing pieces. What's your name? She almost laughed. Almost. 15 years. 15 whole years in the same building, and he was asking her name. Malkia. Malkia, he repeated, testing it. Sible's daughter. That's me. You've been here a while. Since I was 9. He nodded once. Thank you. She didn't know what to do with that, so she did nothing. You can go, he said. She turned toward the door. Malkia. She stopped, didn't turn around. If you need anything, tell Park. She glanced back. He was already facing the window again. She left. When she got back to the kitchen, every eye was on her. What did he want? One of the younger girls whispered. To say thanks. For what? Nothing important. She picked up her book and walked out, but her hands were shaking. That afternoon, Malkia went to her favorite place in the whole estate, the library on the 2nd floor, walls covered in books, Korean, English, Japanese, even some Amharic tucked in a corner that she was pretty sure nobody but her had touched in a decade. She was sliding a book back onto the shelf when she heard someone behind her. She turned. Shin Min-jun stood in the doorway. Jae-won's younger brother, 28, smiled too much, the kind of smile that made you wonder what he was really thinking. You're Sible's kid, he said. Yes. Heard you saved my brother's life. Malkia said nothing. That was nice of you. He stepped into the room. Jae-won doesn't usually let people close enough to save him. I wasn't trying to get close. He was dying in a hallway. Min-jun laughed. Fair. What are you reading? She held up the book. Heavy, he said. You like that stuff? Beats reality TV. He grinned. Can't argue with that. He looked at her for another beat. I'll let you read. He left. Malkia stood there staring at the empty doorway. Something about that whole conversation felt off, like he'd been testing her for something. She put the book back and got out of there. 2 days later, there was a dinner. Extended family. Business people. Faces Malkia had seen in pictures, but never up close. She was in her room reading when someone knocked. Miss Malkia, you're wanted downstairs. She looked up. What for? Madam Shin asked for you. Malkia's stomach dropped straight through the floor. Madam Shin never asked for her. Not once in 15 years. She changed into something clean and walked downstairs feeling like she was heading to her own funeral. The dining room was packed, maybe 20 people. Jae-won was at one end, Min-jun across from him, Madam Shin at the head like a queen on a throne. When Malkia walked in, the whole room went quiet. Madam Shin looked at her. "Come." Malkia stepped forward. Min-jun stood up with a smile that made her skin crawl. "Everyone, meet Malkia. She's the one who saved my brother 2 nights ago." Polite applause broke out. Malkia wanted to disappear into the floor. "Please, sit," Min-jun said, gesturing to an empty chair. She didn't want to sit. She wanted to run. But 20 pairs of eyes were watching. She sat. Dinner kept going. Business talk. Politics. Things Malkia didn't care about and wasn't supposed to hear. She didn't touch her food, didn't say a word. Min-jun kept glancing at her, smiling. Jae-won didn't look at her once, but his jaw was doing that tight thing. When dessert came out, Min-jun raised his glass. To Malkia, our guardian angel. Everyone raised their glasses. Malkia thought she might throw up. The second dinner ended. She got up and walked out. Fast, but not running. She made it halfway down the hall before she heard footsteps. "Malkia." She turned. "Jae-won." "I didn't know he'd do that," he said. "Doesn't matter." "It does." "Why?" "It's done." "Because you didn't ask for that." "I didn't ask for any of this." He stepped closer. "What do you want? To be invisible again?" "That's not happening." "Why not?" "Because now they've seen you. You can't unsee someone." Something twisted in her chest. "Then make them forget." "I can't." "You're Shin Jae-won. You can do anything." "Not that." She turned and walked away. This time he didn't follow. But when she looked back from the end of the hallway, he was still standing there, watching. That night, sleep didn't come. Malkia kept replaying the dinner, Min-jun's smile, Madam Shin's expression, the way everyone looked at her like she was something interesting instead of invisible. At 2 in the morning, she gave up and went to the kitchen. Her mother was already there, sitting at the small corner table with tea. "Can't sleep?" Sibyl asked in Amharic. "No." "Me neither." Malkia sat across from her. "What happens when we leave this place?" Sibyl's head snapped up. "Why are you asking?" "Just thinking. We have 3 years left. Then we're free. Where would we go?" Sibyl was quiet for a long time. "Maybe Addis. Maybe somewhere new. Somewhere nobody knows the Shin name. Would you want to go back home?" "I don't know if Addis is home anymore. I've been gone too long." She reached across the table and took Malkia's hand. "But wherever we go together. Always." Malkia nodded, but deep down, she had a feeling leaving wasn't going to be as easy as waiting out a contract. Next morning, Park found her in the kitchen again. "He wants to see you." "Again?" "Yes." She followed him back upstairs. This time when she walked into the office, Jae-won was sitting at his desk. He pointed at the chair. She sat. "I checked the security footage from that night," he said. Malkia's heart jumped. "And?" "My inhaler didn't fall out of my pocket. Someone took it." The room felt colder. "Who?" "Still figuring that out." "Why are you telling me?" "Because you're the only person in this house I know didn't take it." "You don't know me." "I know enough." She leaned forward. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing." "Then why am I here?" "Because I need you to be careful." "Of who?" "Everyone." She stood up. "I've been careful my whole life. It's how I survived this long." He stood too. "Malkia." She stopped at the door. "If something happens, if anything feels wrong, you come to me." "Why would I do that?" "Because right now, I'm the only person in this family who isn't trying to use you for something." She looked at him. "Yet." "What?" "You're not trying to use me yet. Give it time." She walked out before he could respond. 3 days passed. 3 quiet, uncomfortable days. Then everything exploded. Malkia was in her room when her mother knocked. When she walked in, she was holding an envelope, and her face looked wrong. Pale. Scared. "What happened?" Malkia stood up. Sibyl handed her the envelope. Inside was a letter. Fancy paper. Formal words. From Madam Shin. An offer to end Sebel's contract early. Full pay. Generous severance. They just had to leave within a month. Malkia read it twice. "She wants us gone," Sebel whispered. "Because of the dinner. Because they see you now. And we're not supposed to be seen." "I saved his life, Mama." "I know, baby. But in houses like this, that's not always a good thing." Malkia crumpled the letter. "We don't have to go. Malkia, we don't. If we stay, they'll destroy us. They can try." Sibyl sat on the bed. She looked so tired. "I thought if I kept quiet, worked hard, we'd be safe. But there's no such thing as safe here." Malkia sat beside her. "What do you want to do?" "Protect you. Then we fight back. We can't fight them. Maybe not. But I know someone who can." Sibyl looked at her daughter. "When did you get brave?" "I learned from the best." That night, Malkia walked to Jaewon's office and knocked harder than she meant to. "Come in." She pushed the door open. He looked up, saw her face, stood up. "What happened?" "Your mother wants us gone." He went still. "What?" She threw the crumpled letter on his desk. He read it. Slowly, then looked up. "You haven't accepted?" "Not yet." "Are you going to?" "I don't know. That's why I'm here. Did you know about this?" "No." "Do you want us gone?" "No." "Then fix it. Or get out of my way, and I'll fix it myself." His eyes widened slightly. "How would you fix it?" "I'd walk into your mother's room and tell her exactly what I think of her, and this letter, and this whole situation. That would get you thrown out tonight. At least I'd go out on my terms." He walked around the desk, stopped right in front of her. "I'll handle it." "How?" "That's my problem. I don't trust you. You came here anyway." She didn't have an answer for that. He was close now. Close enough that she could see his eyes weren't pure black. They were dark brown with flecks of something lighter. "I won't let them push you out," he said quietly. "Why do you care? You gave me your last inhaler. Didn't ask my name. Didn't ask for money. Didn't ask for anything. Just gave it to me and left." He paused. "I've lived 32 years, and nobody has ever done anything for me without wanting something back." Her breath caught. "You're real," he said. "Everyone else in my life is performing something. But you're just you, and I don't want to lose that." She didn't know what to say. "Go back to your room," he said. "Let me handle this." She turned to go. "Malkia." She looked back. "Thank you." "For what?" "For trusting me enough to knock on that door." She left. But walking back to her room, she realized her hands weren't shaking anymore, and she didn't know if that was because she trusted him or because she was too angry to be scared anymore. Either way, things were about to change. The next morning, Jaewon didn't knock on his mother's door. He just walked in. She was having tea by the window, didn't even look surprised. "We need to talk." "About the housekeeper?" She set her cup down. "It's already decided." "No, it's not." "I don't recall asking your opinion on household matters." "This stopped being a household matter the second you tried to remove someone because I noticed her." Madam Shin smiled, the cold kind. "So you did notice her." "She saved my life. And I'm rewarding her mother with early release and generous pay. That's gratitude. That's exile dressed up as a gift. Call it what you want. The offer stands." Jaewon stepped closer. "Take it back." She actually laughed. "In 30 years, you've never once questioned how I run this household. Not once. And now you want to give me orders? Over some girl you didn't know existed 2 weeks ago? I'm not asking. Take it back. Or what, exactly? Or I'll make sure everyone knows it wasn't voluntary. I'll make sure they know you're forcing out loyal staff because your son had the audacity to say thank you. Her smile faded. You'd go against me? Publicly? Try me. She picked up her tea again, took a slow sip. You know what happens when you protect something in this world? People use it against you. They find what you care about and they break it. I'll take that risk. Will you? Because once you draw this line, there's no going back. I know. She studied him, really looked at him like she was seeing someone new. Fine. I'll withdraw the offer. He blinked. Just like that? Just like that. But understand something, Jaewon. The moment you choose her over your own mother, you make her a target. Not just here. Everywhere. Then I'll deal with everywhere. You sound like your father. Before this family broke him. That stopped him. What are you talking about? Your father was like you once. Thought he could change things. Thought love mattered more than power. She set the cup down. Then he learned the hard way. Love makes you weak. And weak people don't survive what we do. Maybe I don't want to survive if it means becoming like you. She flinched. Barely. But he saw it. Get out, she said quietly. He left. By afternoon, the offer was gone. Just disappeared like it never existed. Sebel came to Malkia's room holding a second letter. It's withdrawn. Her voice was shaking. The whole thing? Gone. Good. No, not good. Sebel sat down hard. This is worse. How is this worse? Because now they know we won't leave quietly. So they'll find another way to push us out. A harder way. Let them try. Malkia, what did you do? I talked to Jaewon. Sebel's eyes went wide. You what? I told him to fix it. You gave an order to Shin Jaewon? Are you trying to get us killed? He listened, didn't he? That's what scares me. Sebel put her head in her hands. When powerful men listen to women like us, it's not because we matter. It's because they want something. Maybe he's different. Nobody in this family is different. They just hide it better. Malkia wanted to argue, but she wasn't sure her mother was wrong. That evening, Malkia was walking through the East Wing when she nearly crashed into Min-jun coming around a corner. He caught her elbow. Careful. She pulled back. Sorry. No damage done. He smiled. Heard the offer got pulled. She didn't respond. That's good news, right? You get to stay. I guess. My brother must have said something to Mother. He doesn't usually interfere with household stuff. I wouldn't know. Come on, you can tell me. What's going on with you two? Nothing's going on. Really? Because from where I'm standing, something's definitely going on. She met his eyes. What do you want? Just curious. It's not every day someone gets Jaewon to overrule Mother. That takes something special. I didn't get him to do anything. Sure, his smile widened. You know what's funny? Jaewon never cares about people, never gets involved, never breaks his own rules. But you show up with an inhaler, and suddenly he's breaking all of them. I need to go. Wait. He didn't move from blocking her path. Genuine advice? Be careful. My brother doesn't save things unless he plans to own them. I'm not a thing. To him, everyone's a thing. Some are just shinier than others. He stepped aside. She walked past him, heart pounding. Malkia. She stopped. Didn't turn. Whatever you think this is, it's not a fairy tale, and it won't end like one. She kept walking. 3 days of silence followed, the kind of quiet that felt like something building. Malkia spent most of her time helping her mother, or hiding in the library. She didn't see Jaewon, didn't see Min-jun, just floated through the house like a ghost again. Except now being a ghost felt worse somehow. On the fourth day, Park found her. "He needs to see you. Now." The urgency in his voice made her stomach drop. She followed him upstairs. When she walked into the office, Jae-won was standing by the window. He turned when she entered. "Close the door." She did. "Someone's digging into your mother's finances." The floor tilted. "What?" "Bank records, transfers, expenses, everything." "My mother hasn't done anything wrong." "I know that. But someone's building a case anyway." "Who?" "Still figuring it out. But they're thorough. Professional. Why would anyone care about my mother's finances?" He looked at her. "They don't. They care about mine. I don't understand. I went against my mother for you. That makes me look weak. And when powerful people look weak, other powerful people test them." He ran a hand through his hair. "If they can prove your mother did something wrong, I have to choose. Protect her and look like a fool, or let her go and admit I was wrong. That's insane. That's how this works. So what do we do? I'm finding out who ordered the investigation. Once I know, I'll shut it down. And if you can't, I will." She wanted to believe him. "Why are you doing this?" "I already told you. Tell me again. Because right now it sounds like you're protecting me to protect yourself." He crossed the room, stopped in front of her. "You think I'm doing this for me?" "I don't know what to think. I'm doing this because for the first time in my life, someone did something good without wanting anything back. And I'm not letting this family destroy that. Or you." Her chest felt tight. "You don't even know me. I know you take your coffee black. You read in 3 languages. You hate being looked at. You've lived here 15 years, and you're still trying to disappear. You love your mother more than anything, and you'd rather fight than run." She couldn't breathe. "I see you," he said quietly. "Even when you don't want to. Be seen." Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He looked at it, and his face changed. "What?" "We have a visitor." "Oh, Seung-hyun." "Who's that?" "Trouble." Oh, Seung-hyun was older, late 50s, expensive clothes, the kind of face that had seen everything and been impressed by nothing. Malkia watched from the kitchen as he was led to Madame Shin's private room. The staff were whispering. "That's the O family patriarch," one girl said. "They've been trying to take down the Shins for years." "What's he doing here?" "Nothing good." He stayed for over an hour. When he left, Madame Shin's face was tight in a way Malkia had never seen. That night, Malkia couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the man with cold eyes and expensive shoes. At midnight, she gave up and went to the library. Jae-won was already there, sitting in the dark with a drink. "You too?" he said without looking at her. "Can't turn my brain off." "Same." She sat in the chair across from him. "The man who came today. Seung-hyun. What did he want?" "Leverage." "Against who?" "Me. My family. Anyone he can use." "Does this have to do with my mother?" He looked at her. "Yes." "Tell me." "He has documents. Bank records that make it look like your mother's been stealing." Her blood went cold. "That's impossible." "I know. He fabricated them." "How do you know?" "Because that's what I'd do if I wanted to destroy someone. Can you prove they're fake?" "I'm working on it." She stood up, started pacing. "This is what my mother was afraid of, that staying here would bury us. It won't. You keep saying that, but things keep getting worse." "Malkia, look at me." She stopped, turned. He stood. "I won't let him destroy your mother's name." "You can't promise that." "Yes, I can." "Why? Why do you even care this much?" "Because you're the only honest thing in my entire life. You don't know that. You don't know me. I know you didn't perform when everyone else would have. I know you gave me something that could have saved your life instead. I know you'd rather fight than play games. That's more real than anything I've seen in 32 years. She was shaking. What if I'm not worth all this trouble? You are. You can't know that. I do. The door opened. They both turned. Min-jun stood there, looked at them, at how close they were standing, at Malkia's face, at Jae-won's expression. He smiled. Am I interrupting? Yes, Jae-won said. Look serious. It is. Leave. I just need a book. Get it tomorrow. Come on, Hyung. I just want one book. Min-jun. Jae-won's voice dropped. Get out. Min-jun walked to a shelf, grabbed a random book, looked at Malkia. You know, people are starting to talk. Let them, Jae-won said. Mother's getting pressure from outside families. They're asking questions about the housekeeper's daughter who has you breaking rules. Not your problem. Actually, it is. Because when you make this family look weak, we all pay for it. Jae-won stepped toward his brother. You want to say something? Say it. Min-jun looked at Malkia. Run while you can. This family eats people like you alive. That's enough, Jae-won said. I'm being honest. She deserves honesty. You're being cruel. Maybe. But at least I'm not lying to her about what this is. Get out. Min-jun walked to the door. Stopped. She's pretty, Hyung. I get it. But she's not worth your entire life. Out. Now. Min-jun left. The silence he left behind was heavy. Malkia sat down. He's right. He's not. I'm not worth your life falling apart. My life was already falling apart. You just made me notice. That's not better. He sat across from her. Do you want to leave? She looked at him. I don't know what I want anymore. What does your gut say? My gut says I should run. My heart says something else. What does your heart say? She didn't answer. Malkia. It says I want to stay, but I'm terrified of what that means. He leaned forward. Then stay. And I'll make sure the terror is worth it. How? By not letting anyone hurt you. You can't protect me from everything. Watch me. Okay. Quick pause. If you're on the edge of your seat right now, and I know you are, do me a favor. Drop a comment and tell me what you think is going to happen next. Is Jae-won going to pull this off? Or is everything about to crash and burn? Let me know. Now back to the story. Next morning, Jae-won called Min-jun into his office. Malkia didn't see what happened, but the entire household staff knew something went down because Min-jun came out looking like he'd been hit by a truck. White face, shaking hands. Didn't speak to anyone the rest of the day. Whatever Jae-won said, it worked. But that afternoon, things got so much worse. Madam Shin called a meeting, all senior staff, kitchen head, housekeeping, security, everyone who mattered. Malkia wasn't there, but news traveled fast in that house. Sable had been accused, publicly, in front of everyone who worked there. Financial misconduct, theft, years of stealing from the household. When Malkia heard, she ran to her mother's room. Sable was sitting on the bed, crying, actually crying. Malkia had seen her mother cry maybe twice in her entire life. Mama, she dropped to her knees. They said I stole. In front of everyone. They have papers, numbers, proof. It's fake. Jae-won said it's all fake. It doesn't matter if it's fake. Once people believe it, the lie becomes truth. I'm fixing this. You can't fix this, baby. Watch me. She stood up and walked out. Went straight to Jae-won's office. Didn't knock. Just walked in. He looked up. They accused her. In front of everyone. I know. I just heard. You said you'd handle this. I am handling it. Really? Because my mother is downstairs crying while your mother destroys her in front of the entire household. That doesn't look handled to me. He stood up. I didn't know she was going to do that. You should have known. This is your family. This is what they do. Malkia. No. You said you'd protect her. You promised. And now she's being humiliated while you sit up here doing what? Thinking about it? I'm gathering evidence to prove the documents are fake. Evidence doesn't matter if her reputation is already destroyed. Then what do you want me to do? I want you to stand up to your mother, the same way she stood up in front of everyone to destroy mine. If I do that, it confirms everything people are saying about us. So what? So it paints a target on your back that never comes off. There's already a target on my back. At least this way my mother's name gets cleared. Malkia, you don't understand what you're asking. I understand perfectly. You're choosing your reputation over doing the right thing. His jaw tightened. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. They stood there, 3 feet apart, both breathing hard. What do you want from me? He asked. I want you to choose. Me and my mother. Or them. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. Either you're with us, or you're not. And if I choose you, really choose you, you understand what that means? You'll never be invisible again. You'll be a target for every enemy I have, every rival family, every person who wants to hurt me. I'm already a target. At least make it mean something. He stared at her. Then he grabbed his jacket and walked out. She stood there shaking. She'd pushed too hard. She knew it. But she was so tired of being quiet. 2 hours later, Jae-won walked into the main dining hall where his mother was having tea with 2 other family matriarchs. We need to talk, he said. Not now. Yes, now. The other women looked uncomfortable. Madam Shin stood. Excuse us. They left quickly. She turned to her son. What is this about? You accused Sebel in front of the entire senior staff. Because there's evidence of theft. Fake evidence, and you know it. I know no such thing. You're smarter than this. You know Seong-hyun fabricated everything. Even if that's true, I can't just ignore it. Yes, you can. And you will. You're going to rescind the accusation publicly. She actually laughed. Absolutely not. Then I will. You'll what? I'll call a meeting, show everyone the evidence is fabricated, and make it very clear that Sebel Suya has worked loyally for 15 years, and anyone who questions that answers to me. Madam Shin went very still. You'd humiliate me. For her. For what's right. This isn't about right. This is about that girl. Her name is Malkia. I don't care what her name is. She's nobody. She's somebody to me. Why? Because she's pretty? Because she saved your life? That's not enough to destroy your future over. I'm not destroying my future. I'm choosing a different one. Madam, Shin's eyes widened. You're in love with her. He didn't answer. You fool. You complete fool. Do you understand what this will do? The moment people know you have feelings for the housekeeper's daughter, they'll use it to destroy you. Destroy her. Destroy everything. Let them try. Jae-won, please. Think about what you're doing. I have. Rescind the accusation. Today. Or I do it for you. He walked out. Madam Shin stood alone in that big dining hall, and for the first time in 30 years, she didn't know her next move. That night, someone knocked on Malkia's door at 11. She opened it. Jae-won stood there. Pack a bag, he said. What? Enough for a few days. Why? Because tomorrow I'm clearing your mother's name. And when I do, things are going to get ugly fast. I want you somewhere safe. I'm not running. This isn't running. This is strategy. No. Strategy is what you do before the fight. Running is what you do during. I'm not running. He stepped into her room, closed the door. If you stay, you're going to see things you can't unsee. Hear things you can't unhear. I've lived here 15 years. I've already seen plenty. Not like this. Then show me. I'm done hiding. He looked at her for a long moment. You're sure? I'm terrified. but I'm sure. Okay. Then tomorrow, you stay close to me, whatever happens. What's going to happen? I'm going to war with my own family, and I'm doing it for you. Her breath caught. Jae-won, you asked me to choose. I'm choosing. But once I do this, there's no going back, for either of us. I know. And you still want me to do it? She looked into his eyes. Yes, he nodded. Then get some sleep. Tomorrow changes everything. He left. Malkia sat on her bed, heart racing. Tomorrow, everything would change. She just hoped they'd survive it. The next morning came too fast. Malkia woke up at 6, got dressed, and went downstairs. Her mother was already in the kitchen, eyes red from crying all night. Mama, it's going to be okay. Sibyl shook her head. No, baby. It's not. Once people believe you're a thief, that sticks forever. Not today, it won't. What are you talking about? Just trust me. At 9, Park came to the kitchen. Miss Malkia, Mr. Jae-won wants you in the conference room. Every staff member froze. Malkia followed him upstairs. The conference room was full. Family members, business partners, senior staff. And Oh Seung-hyun, sitting near the back with that cold smile. Madam Shin sat at the head of the table. When she saw Malkia walk in, her face went tight. Jae-won was standing at the front. Sit, he told Malkia, pointing to a chair near him. She sat. Her hands were shaking, but she kept them in her lap where nobody could see. Thank you all for coming, Jae-won started. Yesterday, an accusation was made against Sebel Masuya. Financial misconduct, theft over several years. Murmurs went around the room. I've reviewed the evidence. He pulled out a folder. And I'm telling you now, it's completely fabricated. Oh Seung-hyun leaned back. That's a serious accusation, Jae-won. So is framing an innocent woman. The documents are legitimate. The documents are garbage. Jae-won spread papers across the table. These are the real bank records, not your edited versions. Look at the timestamps. They don't match. The account numbers have been altered. And this signature? He pointed. It's a digital copy-paste from a different document entirely. Sloppy work, really. Seung-hyun's smile faded slightly. Jae-won turned to the room. Someone fabricated evidence against a housekeeper. Someone went through a lot of trouble to make it look like she'd been stealing for years. The question is why? Why don't you tell us? Seung-hyun said. Because you wanted leverage against my family. You thought if you could force my hand, make me choose between doing the right thing and looking weak, you'd gain ground in whatever game you're playing. Interesting theory. It's not a theory. I have proof that you hired the forensic accountant who created these documents. I have emails, money transfers, everything. The room went dead silent. Seung-hyun's face didn't change, but his hands tightened on the armrest. You fabricated evidence to destroy an innocent woman's reputation, Jae-won said, because you wanted to hurt me. And that was your first mistake. And the second? Thinking I wouldn't burn everything down to protect her. Jae-won turned to his mother. The accusation against Sebel Masuya is rescinded, immediately. Anyone who has a problem with that can leave now. Madam Shin's face was stone, but she didn't argue. Jae-won looked at Seung-hyun. Get out of my house. Gladly. Seung-hyun stood. But you've made a mistake today. I've made worse. Protecting the help's daughter. That's not a mistake. That's career suicide. Then I guess I'll die doing something that matters. Seung-hyun looked at Malkia. You must be something special to make a man throw away his entire life. Malkia stood up. I didn't make him do anything. He chose this. And you? What did you choose? I chose to stay and fight instead of disappearing. Seems like that's more than you can handle. Seung-hyun's smile disappeared completely. We're done here, Jae-won said. Park, show him out. Seung-hyun left. The room stayed silent for a full 10 seconds. Then Madam Shin stood. Everyone out, except Jae-won and Malkia. People filed out quickly. Nobody wanted to be there for what was coming. When the door closed, Madam Shin turned to them. "Do you understand what you just did?" "Yes," Jae-won said. "You went against a powerful family. You humiliated them in front of witnesses. They will retaliate. Let them. And you." She looked at Malkia. "Do you understand what you've become?" "No," Malkia said honestly. "You're a weakness. A weapon people will use against my son for the rest of his life. Then I'll learn to be a strength instead." Madam Shin blinked. "What? You think I'm a weakness because I make him care about something. But maybe caring about something is what makes people strong enough to do things like this. You sound very certain for someone who's been invisible her whole life. Maybe being invisible taught me to see things other people miss." Madam Shin looked at her son. "She's bold. I'll give her that." "She's more than bold," Jae-won said. "She's real. And I'm not losing that because you're afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm practical. No. You're scared. Scared that I'm choosing something different than what you chose. Scared that I won't end up as miserable as you and Dad." That landed hard. Madame Shin's face went pale. "I'm not fighting you anymore," she said quietly. "But understand this. The world outside won't be kind. People will call her names. They'll make up stories. They'll try to break both of you." "We'll survive it," Jae-won said. "Will you?" "Yes." She looked at Malkia. "And you? Are you prepared for what's coming?" Malkia thought about running, about taking her mother and disappearing. But then she thought about spending the rest of her life wondering what would have happened if she'd been brave enough to stay. "I'm prepared," she said. Madam Shin nodded slowly. "Then I suppose there's nothing left to say, except this. Welcome to the family. For better or worse." She walked out. Malkia and Jae-won stood there alone. "Did that just happen?" Malkia whispered. "I think so. Your mother just accepted me." "She didn't accept you. She surrendered. There's a difference." "I'll take it." He turned to her. "You okay?" "No. I feel like I'm going to throw up." "Same. What happens now?" "Now we deal with the fallout." The fallout came faster than expected. By noon, someone had leaked the story to the press. Not the truth. A twisted version. Heir to a powerful Seoul family defends housekeeper accused of theft. Questions about their relationship. Speculation about manipulation. By 2, reporters were at the estate gates. By 3, Malkia's name was all over the internet. She sat in her room reading the comments and feeling sick. Gold digger. Liar. Opportunist. User. Some comments were worse. Way worse. There was a knock. Jae-won walked in without waiting for an answer. "Stop reading that." "Can't stop. It's like watching a car crash." He took her phone. "I'm releasing a statement, setting things straight." "That'll make it worse?" "I don't care. I do. If you defend me, it proves everything they're saying, that I've got you wrapped around my finger." "You don't have me wrapped around anything. I made my choice with open eyes. They won't see it that way. Then we make them see it differently." "How?" He sat down beside her. "Press conference tomorrow. You and me, we tell the truth. Jae-won, they'll eat me alive. Not if I'm standing next to you. You can't protect me from cameras and questions. Watch me." She looked at him. "You're really willing to do this? Stand up in front of everyone and defend the housekeeper's daughter? You're not just the housekeeper's daughter. Then what am I?" He was quiet for a moment. "You're the person who saved my life and didn't ask for anything back. You're the person who's been invisible for 15 years, but somehow sees everything. You're brave and honest and real, and you're the first good thing that's happened to me in a very long time." Her chest felt tight. "Jae-won. So yes, I'm willing to stand up in front of everyone, because you're worth it." She wanted to argue, but she couldn't find the words. "Tomorrow," he said. 2 in the afternoon, we face them together." "Together," she repeated. He left. Malkia sat there trying to breathe normally. Tomorrow, she'd stand in front of cameras, and the entire world would judge her. But she wouldn't be alone. The press conference was set up in one of the estate's formal rooms. Cameras everywhere. Reporters packed in, shoulder to shoulder. Lights so bright Malkia could barely see. She wore a simple black dress. No jewelry. Hair pulled back. Just her. Jaewon wore a dark suit. He stood beside her at the podium. Her hands were shaking so hard she had to grip the podium to hide it. "My name is Malkia Msuya," she started. Her voice cracked slightly. She cleared her throat. "I'm 24. I was born in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I've lived in the Shin household since I was 9. My mother, Sibyl, has been their housekeeper for 15 years. Cameras flashed. 2 weeks ago, I gave Shin Jaewon my emergency inhaler during an asthma attack. I didn't do it for money. I didn't do it for status or attention. I did it because he was dying, and I could help." She paused, took a breath. "Since then, people have made up stories about who I am, what I want, why I'm here. They've called me names, accused me of manipulation, said I'm using this family for personal gain." Her voice got stronger. "But here's the truth. I've spent 15 years trying not to be noticed, trying to be invisible. I never wanted attention. I never wanted any of this. I just wanted to help someone who was dying." She looked directly at the cameras. "If helping someone without expecting anything back makes me a gold digger, then I don't understand what that word means. If being kind makes me manipulative, then I don't know what kindness is supposed to look like." "Why haven't you left?" a reporter shouted. Malkia looked at Jaewon, then back at the cameras. "Because I'm tired of making myself small, so other people feel comfortable. I'm tired of apologizing for existing. I spent 15 years disappearing, and I'm done." The room erupted with questions. Jaewon stepped forward. "That's enough." Malkia said what she needed to say. "Now it's my turn." The room quieted. "I've known Malkia lived in my house for 15 years, and I'm ashamed to say I never once acknowledged her existence. Not because she wasn't worth it, because I was taught not to see people unless they had something I needed." He paused. "She saved my life, gave me her only inhaler, walked away without asking my name or expecting thanks. That's something I've never experienced. In my world, everything costs something. Everything has a price. But she just gave, and that changed something in me." His voice got quieter, but somehow stronger. "I'm not here to defend Malkia. She doesn't need defending. I'm here to say this. If you have a problem with her, you have a problem with me. If you want to attack her character, you go through me first. If you think she's a weakness, then I guess I'm weak. And I'm okay with that." He looked at the cameras. "I'd rather be weak and human than powerful and empty." He stepped back. The reporters went wild with questions. But Jaewon took Malkia's hand, and they walked off the stage together. They didn't stop, didn't look back, just kept walking until they were in a quiet hallway, away from all the noise. Malkia leaned against the wall. "I think I'm going to pass out. Breathe. I'm trying. There's just not enough air. You did great. I almost threw up on camera, but you didn't. That's what matters." She started laughing. Couldn't help it. "This is insane. All of this is completely insane. Yeah, your family is going to hate me forever. Probably. The internet is going to destroy me. Maybe. And you just told the entire world you're choosing me over everything else." "Yes." She looked at him. "Why?" "Because for 32 years, I've done everything right, followed every rule, made every smart choice, and I've been miserable the entire time. He stepped closer. You're the first thing I've chosen just because I wanted to. Not because it's smart, not because it benefits the family. Just because, when I'm around you, I feel like a person instead of a machine. Her breath caught. So yeah, he said, I chose you, and I'd do it again. She didn't know what to say, so she just stood there looking at him. Come on, he said. Let's get out of here before they find us. The next few days were chaos. The story exploded. Some people supported Malkia, called her brave, said she represented everyone who'd ever been invisible. Others tore her apart, said she was lying, using Jae-won, playing victim. Oh Seung-hyun tried one last play, released the fake documents again to different outlets. But Jae-won had already sent the real documents to every major news organization in Seoul, with proof that Seung-hyun had fabricated everything. The backlash was instant. Seung-hyun's reputation imploded within 48 hours. His business partners dropped him. His family distanced themselves. He disappeared from public life completely. Min-jun tried to spin the story, said he'd been trying to protect his brother from manipulation. But nobody believed him. 3 days after the press conference, he announced he was taking a position in the company's Tokyo office. He'd be gone for at least 2 years. When he left, he didn't say goodbye to anyone. Madam Shin stayed silent through all of it, until one morning, when she called Malkia to her sitting room. Malkia went expecting another fight. Instead, Madam Shin gestured to the chair across from her. Sit. Malkia sat. Madam Shin poured 2 cups of tea, slid one across. I underestimated you. Most people do. I thought you were weak, forgettable, someone who'd run at the first sign of trouble. I thought I was too. But you're not. No, turns out I'm stubborn. Madam Shin smiled, just barely. My son is in love with you. Malkia's heart jumped. He hasn't said that. He doesn't need to. I've known him his whole life. I can see it. Does that bother you? Terrifies me. Why? Because love makes people vulnerable, and vulnerable people get hurt. Maybe. But people who never love never really live either. Madam Shin took a sip of tea. You remind me of someone. Who? Me. 30 years ago. Before this life turned me into stone. Malkia didn't know what to say to that. I loved my husband once, Madam Shin continued, the way Jae-won looks at you. But this family, this life, it took that from us. Piece by piece until there was nothing left. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just don't let it happen to you. I won't. How can you be sure? Because I'm not doing this alone, and neither is he. Madam Shin set her cup down. I won't fight you anymore. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. The hard part is just beginning. I know. But if you survive it, if you and my son make it through what's coming, then maybe you'll prove me wrong. Maybe love doesn't always make you weak. She stood up. Welcome to the family, Malkia. Really, this time. Malkia stood too. Thank you. Now get out. I have calls to make. Malkia left, and for the first time since this whole thing started, she felt like maybe, just maybe, everything would be okay. Before we get to the ending, I need you to do something. If this story made you feel something, if you've been on this journey with Malkia from invisible to unstoppable, hit that subscribe button right now. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's ever felt invisible, someone who's ever been afraid to stay when running seemed easier. Drop a comment and tell me what moment hit you hardest, because your stories matter too, and I want to hear them. Now let's finish this. 2 months passed. Things settled into something that almost felt normal. Malkia enrolled in university, business and literature. She still lived at the estate, but in her own room in the main house, not the staff quarters, the actual house. Siebel's health improved. Turned out most of it had been stress. Now that the accusations were gone and she could breathe again, her body started healing. Jaewon started teaching Malkia how the business worked. Not because she asked, but because he wanted someone he trusted to understand the money, the deals, the structure of everything. They spent most evenings in the library. Sometimes they talked about work, sometimes about the books they were reading, sometimes about nothing at all. One night, Malkia was reading when Jaewon closed his laptop and just watched her. She looked up. What? Do you regret it? Regret what? Staying. Fighting. All of it. She thought about it. Really thought. Ask me again in a year. You said that before. Still true. Will you still be here in a year? She closed her book. Will you? Yes. Then yes. I'll be here too. He smiled. The real kind. The kind she'd only seen a handful of times. Good. She went back to reading, but she was smiling too. A few minutes passed in comfortable silence. Malkia. I'm glad you gave me your inhaler that night. She looked up. Me too. Even though it completely destroyed your quiet life? My quiet life was slowly killing me. I just didn't realize it yet. And now? Now I'm exactly where I want to be. He stood, walked over to her chair, sat on the arm of it. Where's that? Here. With you. Reading on a Thursday night like normal people. We're not normal people. No. But we can pretend for a few hours. He reached out, took her hand. Is this okay? Yes. They sat like that, hand in hand, in the quiet library, while the rest of the house moved around them. And Malkia realized something. For 15 years, she'd been waiting for her real life to start, waiting for the contract to end, waiting to leave, waiting for somewhere else to feel like home. But maybe home wasn't a place you found. Maybe it was something you built, piece by piece, choice by choice. In the quiet moments, in the decision to stay when leaving seemed easier, in giving someone your last inhaler and not expecting anything back. Jaewon, she said quietly. Yeah? Thank you. For what? For seeing me when I was invisible. He squeezed her hand. Thank you for letting me. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and for the first time in her entire life, Malkia Msuya felt like she was exactly where she belonged. 3 months later, Jaewon took her to meet extended family members, introduced her as someone important, not as the housekeeper's daughter, just as Malkia. 6 months later, she moved into a full suite in the East Wing. Siebel came with her. They had their own space, their own life, still part of the household, but different now. 1 year later, Malkia graduated top of her class, and 2 years after she gave a dying man her last inhaler, Shin Jae-won asked her a question. They were in the library. Their library, they called it now. He wasn't on one knee, didn't have a big speech prepared. He just looked at her and said, I don't want to do life without you. She looked back at him. Good. Because I'm not going anywhere. Is that a yes? That's a yes. He pulled out a ring. Simple, elegant, perfect. Slid it on her finger. She looked at it, then at him. Your mother's going to have opinions about this. Probably. The internet is going to lose its mind. Definitely. And your family is going to make this complicated. Without a doubt. And you still want to do this? More than anything. She kissed him, soft and quick and real. Then let's do it. Because sometimes the best love stories aren't about perfect people or perfect moments. They're about a girl who gave something without expecting anything back, and a man who learned to see what had been invisible all along. They're about choosing each other. Every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Malkia Msuya saved Shin Jae-won's life with her last inhaler. But really, They saved each other. She saved him from a life where nothing was real. He saved her from a life where she stayed invisible. Together, they built something neither of them knew was possible. A life where they both got to be fully seen. And that made all the difference. If you made it to the end, thank you. Seriously, thank you for being here, for investing in Malkia's story, for believing that invisible people can become unstoppable. Drop a comment telling me your favorite moment. Was it when Malkia stood up to Madam Shin? When Jaewon chose her in front of everyone? Or that quiet proposal in the library? Let me know. Your story matters just as much as this one, and I can't wait to hear it. I'll see you in the next story.